So why are they so racist in Europe all of a sudden, anyways? It's a good question. And you hear a lot of the kind of arguments about, economics and stuff, and there's no doubt something to that. This is an argument that I haven't heard before, and I'm going to repeat it because I think it's pretty smart. And probably close to being true, at least partially. I need to remember that I'm not wearing pants, so I don't go through that same problem that I had before. What he's saying is that after World War II, there was a lot of political correctness in Germany, for lack of a better term. People stifled their speech, right? People were afraid to come off sounding nationalistic. The slightest little transgression was always blown out of proportion. Everybody was very, very conscious to ensure that nothing like what happened during the Second World War ever happened again, right? Everybody was constantly policing each other. Maybe they needed to do that for a little while, and who knows? I wasn't there, and I certainly didn't live through it either. But, maybe that was for the best, right? But then after 9/11, that kind of broke down a little bit, and you started hearing people say other things. And once, you got that little bit of encouragement, it was like people, they lost their inhibitions, right? And then all of a sudden, being a racist is a process of expression, right? Racism becomes a way to free yourself of the shackles of society that they have on you, right? That's a dangerous analysis because it would suggest that any society that attempts to police its speech is going to end up with an inevitable backlash. And that perhaps, 9/11 wasn't even in Europe, right? It was in the United States, of course. So, that's a pretty weak fracture point. Whether what he's saying is absolutely accurate or it's a little bit accurate or even broadly inaccurate, I think it's an interesting lens to look at the situation from, and something that I won't forget soon, because I would suspect that there's probably more than a little bit of truth to the idea that it's any system that tries to repress emotions gets that reaction, right? You could look at Catholicism, right? Catholicism represses sexuality, and there's like widespread phenomena of Catholic girls, especially. They go through, these hypersexualized realities because they spend their whole lives being told to repress it. Now, I don't know if that's. I think maybe that era is over. I know I've met more than a few Muslims that could say the same thing about themselves, right? So, and I think that that's a generally acknowledged aspect of human desire, that when you repress things like that, I'm sure you've heard the old saying, if you bottle up your emotions, they'll come exploding back up, right? I think that that's really just what he's trying to get across. I don't know how you'd measure that, right? It's entirely rhetorical analysis, but I suspect there's probably a lot to it, and like I say, that's I hadn't heard that before, but I likely will not forget it soon. So just noting that and transmitting it across the interwebs.